So, as Chief Lemonhead here, Judy Samuels sets up, I have to tell you, she's one of my favorite people on Twitter. I've had the pleasure of meeting her in real life several times at different locations besides Toronto. Normally, again, Biz Forums, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. We are agreeing with each other. I'm like, what Judy said? She's like, what he said. So it's my pleasure to introduce, this is a great presentation. Here you go. Clicker number 2. So without further ado, Judy, Chief Lemonhead.
Thanks. Thanks very much, guys. So I'm double clicking because what I discovered earlier today is as a lot of people don't necessarily like slides when people chat, the PowerPoint slides are my binky, so you have to put up with me for this one. I'm actually really excited to be here. I was a little nervous earlier. This is the first 140 Conf that I attend, and therefore the first that I speak at. I've always followed the streams and some really good conversations that are going on, and really great conversation starters as well. So before I kind of get into the meat of the presentation, what I wanted to do, take a little bit of a look back on the history. I really, really believe that as we're here to talk about kind of this great advance called social media, and Twitter and all the things that go with it. But if we really want to innovate, I believe we have to look back. We have to get a sense for where we came from, how people are using all these tools, what's working and what's not working. So I apologize for a little bit of academia, but I want to go through a little bit of marketing history. So when you go to school, everybody's probably done a little bit of Marketing 101. You learn about the 4 Ps of marketing and so on and so forth. This is actually meant to talk about the technologies in marketing and what that's done for us as marketers, communicators, PR experts, HR professionals, leaders, and so on. So what we've done is we have moved through, since the late 1800s, what was called the production era, which you can see over here. And we've gone through the product era, the sales era. This is the market era, the customer era, and what is now being dubbed the relationship era in the 21st century. All of these eras are actually marked by technology. The start of the printing press, improving our roads and getting automobiles that actually go further than 20 kilometers or 20 miles for our American friends just down the road. We've gone from black and white televisions to color televisions to a computer to something called the internet, which IBM thought no one other than businesses was ever going to use. And all of these advances have been based on technology. And so what that's done for businesses who already had a really great idea of what they were doing, is it helped businesses improve how they were doing it. And what we're struggling with these days is when you ask a business why they're in business, they struggle to answer. Making money is not the answer to why you are in business. It is an outcome and it is a necessity or your business won't exist. But it's not the answer as to why you're in business. And I would be able to wager some money here with a lot of you, unless you're Alex P. Keaton, that when you were a little kid, you didn't say, I want to go into business to become a millionaire. You probably said, I want to be a doctor to save lives. I want to be a lawyer to help the people who aren't guilty have a chance at a better life, or to put the criminals away. I want to be a superhero. You wanted to do something for a reason that was far more important to you than money. So without really knowing why, or without being able to answer, but they probably know why these businesses are in business, they're not focusing on the humanity of business. And I find that hilarious, and literally I laugh about this. We go to work every day. We wake up in the morning, we get ready, we go to work. Some of us go to offices, some of us turn on our computers, whatever you do. And a lot of us kind of forget that we're human beings. It's people that are running the business. And that's the philosophy behind these social platforms. And someone earlier said, social is a culture. I think it was Renee. Said social is a culture. It's not a platform. The social media tools that we use, they're just tools. And this is about us as human beings and how we want to progress. So in 1943, put your hand up if you've never seen this. Okay, so in 1943, there was a gentleman by the name of Abraham Maslow, and 1943 was somewhere between the sales and the product and the sales era, and he created what he's called the hierarchy of needs, or the hierarchy of motivation. And what his thinking was was that if you did not have food or water or that, leave it alone, okay, you can't go up to the next level. You can't even start thinking about how I'm going to have security and how I'm going to have, whether or not I need a job. Like, you need to eat. You need to sustain your own body. And then so it progresses. So the idea was, start at the bottom, make sure that you as a human being have all these things that you need on a physiological level, move up through safety, up to self-actualization, which back in the day was actually in line with knowing God and spirituality. But it can be any way that you want to be spiritual, whether it's, creativity, morality, spontaneity, and so on. So a lot of us as HR managers, as leaders, we've used Maslow's pyramid to kind of give us a roadmap and how we're going to create incentives at work, how we are going to create compensation packages at work. And there have been a lot of people that have kind of had some issues with Maslow's pyramid because of his assumption that you had to start at the bottom to move your way up. And their argument was, if you take artists or authors, a lot of them are struggling, they're already working at the esteem and the self-actualization level where they're really putting their art out there. And so, you don't really need to focus on what's happening in these two bottom rungs to get somebody up higher in the pyramid. So I'd like to think that Maslow was a really smart man, and he had the elements 100% right. But what if, instead of climbing through this hierarchy, so moving people up through these motivation levels, what if it was actually a cycle? What if you had to find a way to motivate your employees, your consumers, not through one motivator at a time, but through finding some sort of a balance between all of the motivators at the same time, all 5 components. And what if, and I'm putting out some political views here, so if you want to vote for Judy in 2012, feel free to do so. What if business and the state of the world today was actually because, whether explicitly or not explicitly, as leaders in our countries and in our businesses, we felt we had to move people through in some sort of hierarchy. And so we only focused on one element at a time. And if you've done science in high school, if you've done physics or chemistry, you know, in a cycle, if you focus on only one element and you put a ton of weight here while this thing is rotating, you're creating a storm. And I don't know about how many people read the Globe and Mail this morning or the Wall Street Journal, but there is a storm going on right now. And I'm not suggesting the only reason there's a storm is because somebody misread a psychology paper, but definitely a problem with how we treat individuals. Instead of realizing that we're individuals and we're human beings, we think about these machines and these processes, and that's where our focus is on. So one of the problems as well, I mean, if you look at what's been going on top of the economy, we have low employee engagement scores. Right? How many people do employee engagement in their businesses or have worked with clients who do employee engagement? Right? So the employee engagement scores are not very high. Employees today are being asked constantly, do you like your job or do you not like your job? And Renee did a little test and we saw some answers, and some of them weren't very good, even within our own room. And despite the economy, we are willing to say, you know what, I'd be prepared to look for another job. Despite the economy, we're ready to do that. And it's because we're focusing on just some of these issues. And businesses are pleading for brand loyalty and brand advocacy. So today, when you think of promotions, a lot of the brands that we know and that we love view promotions this way. Couponing is alive and well, and there's a show on TV that is about crazy couponing moms. And you save a ton of money doing this. And this stuff works. So I'm not here to tell you to stop putting out these great promotions and sales with you for either your business or your clients' businesses. This stuff actually really works. It works, it gets somebody in the door. Chances are you're going to get a sale, but there's no real guarantee. What this does not do is it does not give you loyalty. Okay? You get somebody in the door once, they try your product, they pay for it, they might have a cheap price, that's fantastic, but it does not get you loyalty. So sending a bunch of coupons to the clients that you think are loyal, sure, they're going to come to you for a discount. Who doesn't want to save some money today? But this really is focusing, if we think back to the hierarchy of needs, it's on the second rung, that level of security, which talks about security of resources like money. So this works well. It'll get people in the door. Don't stop doing it. As we've evolved marketing, taking the same brands, we've kind of moved into this world that we've called branding. And branding starts to move us up through the hierarchy of needs. And it takes us into a level of bonding and creating a little bit of self-esteem. And if you look at, everybody recognizes now Ellen with JCPenney and what she's done. And you look at how a Samsung Galaxy Note is being advertised, being noteworthy. It's talking to your level of self-esteem, to your level of status. So we're starting to move up, but separately, right? So we've talked about promotions on one hand. Over here, you received a coupon in the mail. And then you saw a billboard on the highway somewhere. And the creative isn't the same. It's not aligned. It's not the same campaign. But we're trying to hit some different needs at different times and in a single way. So this is fantastic. And you'll start to get people who feel a bit better. They may come back once you've created that good feeling. Yes, I am noteworthy. I'm going to come back. I like Samsung now. And I want to try this again. So you start to get a little bit of repeat business. But advocacy goes deeper than just that kind of top-level loyalty. So what we're really looking at right here is how businesses are approaching their audiences and moving on to recognizing that there's a humanity in how people treat their audiences. And again, whether you're business to business, you're treating your employees, or you're treating your consumers, this applies in all facets, okay? So what you want to do is generate a series of positive emotions. The more positive emotions that you create, the more motivators that you hit at the same time, the deeper your relationship and your bond with whoever it is that you want to build a relationship with will go. And that's ideally what we're trying to do. So I want to talk to what Sam said. Businesses want profit. So all of this was really nice, Psychology 101, you feel good, you get the warm and fuzzies. But how much money does that make for my business? So very quickly, I'd like to give you two very quick case studies. Ethos Water. Anybody ever bought Ethos Water? Okay, you can get Ethos Water for about $2 to $3 in your local Starbucks. Ethos was brought into the Starbucks family in 2005 after one of their VPs had spent some time in Africa and wanted to support clean water drinking projects half a world away. For each bottle that you purchase, depending on the Starbucks, 5 to 10 cents goes into this fund that Starbucks offers and goes to supporting these projects. Now, a lot of naysayers, there are a lot of skeptics out there, let me tell you. A lot of people are upset. 5 to 10 cents on $2 to $3 bottles of water, that's not enough money. Why are you doing that, Starbucks? Well, if Ethos had gone it alone, they would have died in the great, great world of Evian and Perrier and Fiji and pick another water. So they're only distributed at Starbucks, right? Which, by the way, meant that they were going to get more volume there than anywhere else, and they were going to be able to survive. In the first 3 years of that partnership, Starbucks contributed $6.2 million. $6.2 million to these clean water drinking projects, which, if you look at any newsstand and if you dig deeper, they're actually helping these communities that need the clean drinking water. And if we talk about ROI, assuming 10 cents per bottle, that's $62 million off of water for Starbucks in just 3 years. Now, it's not their entire business, I get that, but $62 million for water. And by the way, water is at the very bottom of that rung. But giving 10 cents to contributing to a cause that you might believe in starts moving you up into kind of that loving and that bonding. And this is just one of the elements that Starbucks thinks about when it's going after hitting all of your motivators. So you kind of are always going fluidly through that cycle of motivators. They have Ethos Water. They have part-time baristas get supported to go improve their education. They have the Fair Trade Coffee. So this is one example. Another one very quickly, this is not a resort. This is an outdoor shopping mall outside of Columbus. So a friend of mine, some of you may know, Annalisa Humlin, who works for Emotional Branding Alliance, is actually working with Easton Town Center right now. The idea behind Easton is to create a community within the community. They have yoga classes, painting classes, and the owner, Steiner and Associates, actually has a very strict guideline on how they take in their retailers. Where most shopping mall hosts would take your money and get you to sign a 5-10 year contract, These guys actually evaluate you every month. And if you have customer complaints, a lot of them, and if you have lack of customer service, they kick you out. Okay? One retailer, in fact, had been kicked out of this place 3 times. They kept coming back. They had poor customer service and a lot of customer complaints. They went and retrained their employees because they wanted space here. They wanted to be a part of this community. Something like their parking meters on the street, when you pay for parking there, 75 cents of what you're contributing goes to the local community for school projects and scholarships. So this isn't just a shopping mall. This is something that goes beyond that just kind of touching on your maybe a little bit of love and a little bit of esteem. It's starting to move you up and realizing that within the community you can do a lot more. So I'm going to jump over this because I'm realizing that I'm way over time. But it's a cycle. It's not a hierarchy. And you can make money off of recognizing that the people you are dealing with, whether they are your employees or your consumers or your colleagues, are human beings. We do this here. We go out, we network, we shake hands, we get to know each other. We hope that you like me and I like you, and maybe we'll talk again in the future. And who knows what will happen? Maybe we share contracts, maybe we provide referrals. We in this room have a good sense for understanding how moving through not just employment, but helping us get to that level of creativity and sharing our thoughts and our expressions and our ideas really makes this a better place to work. It's more exciting, we're more engaged, and all of a sudden we start building advocacy for each other. And advocacy is really what the businesses are after. And yes, Sam, advocacy will drive profit. Amen, so, vote Judy 2012. So the peak of the pyramid isn't really a peak. It's a cycle. And you have to hit as many of your motivators as you possibly can. Businesses have been known to focus on the bottom 2 rungs. Save 50 cents, save $1. That's fantastic, but it's not enough. Repeat behavior comes from those middle rungs, okay? You're gonna start driving a little bit of love and belonging and esteem. I feel good about knowing that when I buy a bottle of water at Starbucks, some money goes to some charity. I don't get that at the grocery store when I buy Evian water. And I have nothing against Evian water. I'm French, it's totally fine, but there's a different emotion, okay? But if you really wanna drive advocacy, which is really where human beings come to work and human beings interact with other human beings and they start to fall in love with each other in a very normal way, that's where you're driving advocacy. People will come back, they'll go out of their way to do business with you. And those are the people that will spend a lot of money. And you don't need to give them treats to do that. They do it because they want to, because they like you. So affecting multiple motivational needs across the brand, every single brand interaction, there's got to be a tied-in story. And you make them feel good all the way around, then you start driving advocacy. And I apologize for having taken way too much time, but I'd love to keep talking later.